In the heart of Manhattan, where the skyscrapers pierced the sky like ambitious dreams, Ivy Robinson navigated the bustling streets with the quiet determination of someone who had learned to blend into the shadows. As a black woman in her late 20s, Ivy had always felt the world's weight on her shoulders, not just the literal hustle of New York City, but the invisible barriers that came with her skin color in a city that promised opportunity, yet often delivered scrutiny. She was a jewelry designer, her fingers deft at crafting pieces that whispered stories of elegance and resilience. Her latest collection, inspired by the Harlem Renaissance, featured intricate necklaces with obsidian beads and gold filigree that evoked the strength of her ancestors. Lately, however, her creativity has felt stifled, trapped in the web of her relationship with Alex Thompson, her boyfriend of several years. Alex was a charming entrepreneur, or so he portrayed himself, running Thompson Jewelry, a mid-tier company in Chicago that had recently expanded to New York. He had a way with words, smooth and persuasive, always promising Ivy that her designs would one day shine under the spotlight. Yet behind closed doors, he funneled her work to Sophia Lee, his business partner, who doubled as a glamorous influencer on TikTok and Instagram. Sophia took credit for Ivy's creations with polished feeds and viral unboxings, turning them into overnight sensations. Ivy had confronted Alex once, her voice trembling with betrayal, but he dismissed it with a kiss on her forehead. "It's just strategy, babe. Once we build the brand, it'll be ours." "Ours," he said, but it always felt like his. That fateful afternoon, as Ivy crossed a crowded intersection near Times Square, her mind wandered to her latest sketch, a ring with a sapphire center symbolizing hidden depths. She didn't see the taxi swerving through the red light until it was too late. The impact was a blur of horns and shouts, her body hurled to the pavement like a discarded sketch. Pain exploded through her, but as darkness claimed her, a strange warmth enveloped her thoughts, as if the universe was whispering secrets she wasn't meant to hear. When Ivy awoke in the sterile glow of Mount Sinai Hospital, the beeps of machines echoed like a distant heartbeat. Her head throbbed, and her left arm was bandaged from a fracture. The doctor, a kind-faced woman named Dr. Elena Ramirez, explained it was a miracle she survived with only minor injuries. "You hit your head pretty hard, Ms. Robinson. Any dizziness or unusual sensations?" Ivy shook her head, but their hands brushed as the nurse adjusted her IV. An explicit yet unspoken voice flooded her mind. "Poor girl. She's got that fighter spirit. It reminds me of my sister who was back in Brooklyn." Ivy froze, her dark eyes widening. The nurse hadn't spoken aloud. Was it a hallucination? She tested it again when Dr. Ramirez checked her chart and their fingers were grazing. "She'll be fine, but I need to get home to the kids soon." Again, unspoken words, intimate thoughts. Panic rose in Ivy's chest. This wasn't normal. Was the concussion playing tricks? Or had the accident unlocked something buried deep within her, a gift or a curse? Discharged after a few days, Ivy returned to her modest apartment in Harlem, a cozy space filled with sketchbooks and gemstones scattered like forgotten stars. She tried to ignore the ability, focusing on recovery. But when Alex visited bearing takeout from her favorite soul food spot on 125th Street, their hands touched as he handed her the bag. His voice in her mind was cold, calculating. "She's useful for now. Those designs will make Sophia a star, and I'll cash in. Just keep her hooked on that old debt." The old debt referred to the tragedy that had bound them for a decade, the Chicago factory fire. 10 years ago, when Ivy was just a teenager, a blaze had ravaged the industrial plant, where her mother, Elena Robinson, worked as an assembly line supervisor. The fire claimed lives, including Alex's parents, who owned a stake in the facility. Official reports blamed Elena for an operational error, leading to her imprisonment in a federal penitentiary in Illinois. Alex, orphaned and vengeful, claimed he had pulled Ivy from the flames, forging a bond of gratitude that Ivy felt obligated to repay. She had poured her talent into his company, believing it was atonement. But now, hearing his true thoughts, doubt crept in, like smoke. Shaken Ivy avoided physical contact, but the ability persisted selectively, only activating with touch, like a switch flipped by fate. She confided in no one, fearing she'd be labeled delusional, in a city that already scrutinized her every move. Days turned into weeks, and Ivy threw herself into work freelancing for small boutiques in Soho. One evening, while delivering a custom piece to a client at a Wall Street firm, she bumped into James Martin in the lobby of Martin Corp, a towering financial empire known for its aggressive expansions. James epitomized old money poise, tall with tousled blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and a suit that screamed bespoke tailoring. As a white man in his early 30s, he carried the effortless privilege of someone born into wealth, yet his demeanor hinted at hidden depths. Their collision was accidental, her portfolio spilling gems across the marble floor. As they both knelt to gather them, their hands brushed over a ruby pendant. His voice echoed in her mind, soft and yearning. "She's brilliant. Those hands create magic. God, I could watch her forever. This is what it feels like to nurture someone pure happiness. Her skin so warm and inviting. I want to hold her close." Ivy pulled back, her heart racing. Who was this stranger, and why did his thoughts feel so intimate? James smiled apologetically, his voice warm and genuine. "I'm so sorry, miss. Let me help." As he returned the pendant, another touch. "Her curls are like midnight silk. I remember her from that day in Chicago, the girl I pulled from the fire. But she doesn't know it's me." Chicago. The fire. Ivy's world tilted. She mumbled thanks and fled, but the encounter lingered. That night in her apartment overlooking the Harlem River, memories resurfaced. The blaze had been chaos smoke choking the air, screams echoing through the metal halls. Ivy, delivering lunch to her mother, had been trapped. A boy, older and brave, had dragged her out, his face obscured by soot. She always assumed it was Alex, but could it be this James Martin? The next day, curiosity drove her to research Martin Corp online. James was the CEO, a Wall Street wunderkind who had inherited the firm from his father. Articles praised his philanthropy, including donations to Chicago's inner-city programs post-fire. But deeper searches revealed whispers Martin Corp had once owned a subsidiary in the factory, and there were rumors of covered-up negligence. Ivy's ability had unveiled a puzzle. James's thoughts betrayed a secret connection laced with unspoken affection. As weeks passed, Ivy's life intertwined with James's. She contracted with Martin Corp to design a luxury line, expanding their portfolio into high-end accessories. Their first meeting in his corner office overlooking Central Park was electric. As they shook hands, touch inevitable, his inner voice flooded her. "She's here. My little gem. I built this empire partly for moments like this. Her eyes hold stories I want to unravel. If only I could tell her the truth without scaring her away." Ivy feigned composure, but inside turmoil brewed. Why did this white billionaire harbor such tender thoughts for her, a black designer from Harlem? In a society rife with racial divides, his affection felt both thrilling and suspicious. Was it genuine or another form of control? Meanwhile, Alex's visits grew tense. One evening their argument escalated as he demanded more designs for Sophia. He grabbed her wrist. "She owes me. That fire took everything. I'll squeeze every drop from her talent." The revelation stung. Ivy realized Alex's love was a facade built on manipulation. But James, His thoughts were poetry convincing in their sincerity. As she sketched late into the night, the ruby pendant from their encounter gleamed under lamplight. Touching it, she wondered if fate had gifted her this ability to discern truth from lies. Yet the inner conflict deepened. Could she trust a man from a world so different from hers? And what if uncovering the past shattered everything? The climax of her doubt came during a rainy New York evening. Walking home through Central Park, Ivy slipped on wet paths, her mind replaying James's voice. A passerby helped her up their touch, revealing mundane thoughts. But then her phone buzzed Alex demanding she meet him. Reluctantly, she went to his loft in Brooklyn. As he embraced her forcefully touch activating the curse, she's slipping away. But I'll remind her of the debt. That fire was her mother's fault. I'll ensure she pays forever. Horror gripped Ivy. The ability wasn't a hallucination. It was a weapon. But as she pulled away, a new resolve formed. She would unravel the truth about the Chicago fire, James, and the man who claimed to love her. Little did she know this gift would lead her into a whirlwind of romance and revenge, where hearts spoke louder than words. Amid the gleaming towers of Wall Street, where fortunes rose and fell like the tides of the Hudson River, Ivy Robinson stepped into the opulent lobby of Martin Corp with a mix of trepidation and excitement. The contract she had secured was a lifeline, a chance to showcase her designs on a grand scale, far from the clutches of Alex Thompson's manipulative grasp. As a black woman navigating the predominantly white corridors of high finance, Ivy carried herself with an unyielding grace, her natural curls framed by a professional blazer that hid the vulnerability beneath. The air hummed with the energy of deals being struck, but for Ivy, this was more than business. It was a doorway to reclaiming her artistry. Her first day began in the design wing, a sleek space overlooking the financial district, where glass walls reflected the city's relentless ambition. James Martin, the enigmatic CEO, had personally overseen her onboarding, though he presented himself modestly dressed in a simple button-down, as if downplaying his billionaire status. "Welcome, Ms. Robinson," he said, with a disarming smile extending his hand. Ivy hesitated, knowing the touch would unveil his inner world. As their palms met, his thoughts cascaded like a gentle stream. "She's even more radiant up close. I must play it cool. Pretend I'm just an executive, not the owner. But her presence, it's like sunlight breaking through clouds. I want to protect her from everything, especially that snake Alex." The revelation warmed her, but she masked her surprise. James's fake poor facade was intriguing. He drove a modest car to meetings, ate at food trucks in Battery Park, and spoke of climbing the corporate ladder as if he weren't already at the top. It was a deliberate act, she sensed, perhaps to bridge the chasm between their worlds. As a white man of privilege, he navigated spaces with ease, yet his thoughts betrayed a sensitivity to the racial dynamics at play. During a team meeting, when a colleague subtly questioned Ivy's urban-inspired designs code for doubting her fit in luxury markets, James interjected smoothly, but in her mind via an accidental brush of elbows. How dare he undermine her? She's a genius. This is why I fight these biases for people like her, for us. The days blurred into a rhythm of creation. Ivy's workspace became a sanctuary filled with mood boards of gemstones from ethical African minds echoing her heritage. James visited often under the guise of checking progress. Each interaction was laced with unspoken romance. One afternoon, as he reviewed her sketches, a bracelet with interlocking chains symbolizing unbreakable bonds, their fingers grazed the paper. His inner voice: "These designs are poetry." Just like her strong, beautiful, resilient. If only I could tell her how I've admired her from afar since that day in Chicago. But timing is everything. Ivy's heart fluttered. Now a trusted ally, the ability painted James as sincere, his affection a quiet flame rather than a blazing fire. Yet the office buzzed with whispers. Colleagues, primarily white and affluent, eyed their interactions with suspicion. Is he favoring her because of diversity quotas? One murmured in the break room. Ivy overheard when she accidentally touched a coworker's arm during a coffee run. She said, "She's talented, but a black girl from Harlem. James must be slumming it." The sting of prejudice fueled her determination, but James's support was a balm. He organized a workshop on inclusive design, subtly addressing the biases, and his thoughts revealed. "I'll change this culture for her. She deserves the world." As affection blossomed, so did challenges. Alex's shadow loomed, his calls incessant. "Come back to Thompson Jewelry, Ivy. Sophia needs your input." But when Ivy meets him for a tense lunch in Midtown, their hands clasping across the table, she drifts. But the fire debt keeps her chained. "I'll milk her talent until she's dry." The confirmation hardened her resolve. During a late-night session, she confided partially in James, sharing sketches under the glow of desk lamps. "Sometimes I feel like my past is a cage," she admitted. James nodded, his eyes softening. Touching her shoulder reassuringly, "I wish I could free her. That fire. I was there pulling her out. But revealing it now might overwhelm her." Their bond deepened through shared moments. A walk through Central Park after hours, where autumn leaves crunched underfoot, became a turning point. James, accidentally, bumped her hand while pointing out a statue. "Her laugh is music. In a city of millions, she's the one who makes me feel alive." Despite the world's judgments on us, a white tycoon and a black artist, "I'll fight for this." Ivy smiled, the words convincing her of his purity. She opened up about her dreams and her fears of being tokenized. James listened, his responses thoughtful, weaving a tapestry of trust. Yet tension mounted with office politics. Envious of Ivy's rising star, a rival designer spread rumors of favoritism. During a presentation, critics whispered as Ivy unveiled a necklace inspired by the Statue of Liberty, symbolizing freedom for all. James defended her publicly but privately, via touch. "She's my muse. This is just the beginning of our story." The affirmation was intoxicating, but Ivy grappled with her ability's ethics. Was it fair to peer into his soul? The part's crescendo arrived during a corporate gala at the Met Museum. Dressed in a gown of her own design, Ivy mingled amid crystal chandeliers. James, in a tuxedo, approached their dance, a whirlwind. As he held her close, touch was inevitable. Holding her feels like destiny. But Alex lurks. I must protect her from his lies. Midway, Alex crashed the event, confronting Ivy, grabbing her arm. "She's mine by right. The Chicago fire seals it." The venom in his thoughts propelled Ivy away into James's arms. As the night ended, she realized this was no mere job. It was the forging of a love that defied odds. In the shadowed underbelly of New York's glittering facade, where secrets festered like unspoken regrets, Ivy Robinson was ensnared in a web of revelations that threatened to unravel the fragile tapestry of her life. The days at Martin Corp had blossomed into a symphony of subtle glances and shared ambitions. Now, as autumn winds whispered through the canyons of skyscrapers, a darker melody emerged. Ivy's ability, that ethereal gift born from trauma, had become her silent sentinel, guiding her through the labyrinth of human intentions. Yet, in the quiet moments, the past clawed its way back, away from James Martin's reassuring presence, demanding reckoning. One crisp evening, as Ivy wandered the vibrant streets of Greenwich Village, her thoughts drifted to the enigma of Chicago's fire, a ghost that had haunted her for a decade. The ability had peeled back layers of Alex Thompson's facade. During their strained encounters, revealing a man driven by a vengeful calculus, not love. Determined to unearth the truth, Ivy delved into old archives at the New York Public Library, her fingers tracing faded newspaper clippings from the Chicago Tribune. The fire at the industrial plant had been catastrophic flames devouring lives and dreams alike. Official reports pinned the blame on her mother, Elena Robinson, for a supposed mishandling of machinery, leading to her incarceration in a federal facility outside Chicago. Alex had always positioned himself as her savior, the orphaned hero who pulled her from the inferno. But Ivy's intuition sharpened by her gift sensed fissures in that narrative. Back in her Harlem sanctuary, surrounded by the comforting aroma of jasmine tea and the soft glow of her drafting lamp, Ivy reached out to an old family friend, a retired firefighter from Chicago, now living in Brooklyn. They met at a cozy cafe in Park Slope, where the air hummed with the chatter of locals. As they greeted, the touch unlocked his memories. That night was hellfire. Saw a young white kid, blonde, frantic, dragging a black girl out. Not Alex. He was cowering outside. Poor Elena took the fall to protect the owners. The words, unspoken yet vivid, sent chills through Ivy. The blonde kid matched James's description from his youth, aligning with the fleeting thoughts she had glimpsed in him. Could James be the true rescuer? The revelation stirred a whirlwind of emotions. Gratitude mingled with confusion, as if the stars of her fate were realigning. Yet confronting James felt premature. Their budding connection was too delicate a flower, not yet ready to withstand the storm of truth. Meanwhile, Alex's grip tightened like a vice. He summoned Ivy to his Chicago office, under the pretext of a business emergency, flying her out on a red-eye. The city of winds greeted her with a biting chill, mirroring the frost in her heart. Thompson Jewelry's headquarters, a sleek building in the Loop District, buzzed with activity, but Ivy sensed the undercurrents of deceit. Sophia Lee, Alex's so-called partner, flitted about like a peacock, her social media empire built on Ivy's stolen brilliance. As Alex greeted Ivy with a possessive hug, their skin connecting, she suspects, but the guilt over her mother's crime will keep her in line. Sophia's fame depends on this. The meeting devolved into demands. Alex unveiled plans for a new line, insisting that Ivy provide fresh designs to propel Sophia's influencer status. "It's for us, Ivy, for the family we'll build," he cooed. But his inner voice betrayed. "Once I squeeze out her last idea, I'll discard her. The fire debt ensures her obedience." Ivy's stomach churned. She feigned compliance, but as she excused herself to the restroom, she brushed past Sophia in the hallway. The accidental contact revealed, "Alex promises me the world, but Ivy's the real talent. If she leaves, we're sunk." Empowered by these insights, Ivy returned to New York with her fire. During a stolen lunch in Bryant Park, she confided fragments to James, where pigeons danced around their feet like fleeting thoughts. "My past feels like chains," she admitted, her voice a velvet whisper. James's eyes, those oceanic blues, held hers with an intensity that spoke volumes. As he reached for her hand across the table, deliberate now, seeking connection, his thoughts flowed. "I hate seeing her burdened. If she knew I was there that night, pulling her free. Alex's lies have poisoned too much. I'll dismantle him piece by piece." The conflict escalated when Alex arrived unannounced at Ivy's apartment, his jealousy ignited by rumors of her closeness to James. "You're spending too much time at that firm." He accused, his grip on her arm firm, the touch unleashed. "She's mine to control. No white knight from Wall Street will steal her." Ivy wrenched free, her eyes blazing. "This isn't love, Alex. It's extortion." For the first time, she voiced the doubts her ability had sown, challenging his hero narrative. He stormed out, but not before a parting shot. "Your mother's in prison because of her mistake. You owe me us everything." The confrontation left Ivy reeling, but it also ignited her resolve. She dove deeper into investigations, contacting a Chicago-based journalist specializing in corporate cover-ups. Over a video call, pieces fell into place as she metaphorically touched the truth through shared documents. Martin Corp had ties to the factory through a subsidiary, and whispers suggested negligence, faulty wiring, ignored for profit. However, the pivotal detail is that eyewitness accounts placing a young James at the scene are heroic and anonymous. As romance with James deepened, their evenings evolved into intimate walks along the High Line, where elevated gardens mirrored the heights of their emotions. James's humble persona, sharing stories of starting from the bottom in finance, endeared him further. His thoughts a constant affirmation. Her strength against adversity inspires me. She's the bridge I never knew I needed in a world that divides us by color. One night, under a canopy of stars obscured by city lights, he confessed partial truths. I've faced my own losses, Ivy, but meeting you feels like redemption. Their tentative yet electric kiss sealed an unspoken pact, love blooming amid deception's thorns. Yet Alex's shadow loomed larger. He orchestrated a smear campaign, leaking anonymous tips to tabloids about Ivy's ungratefulness, framing her as an opportunist exploiting racial sympathy in corporate America. The articles stung, but James countered with quiet power, his legal team quashing the stories. In a heated phone call, Alex's voice cracked with desperation. Come back or I'll drag your mother's name through the mud. Ivy touching her phone as if channeling his essence. If she defies me, I'll expose the full debt, make her pay eternally. The climax of this unraveling came during a stormy night in Ivy's apartment. Lightning illuminated the room as Alex barged in demanding loyalty. In the scuffle, their hands locked. She's uncovering too much. Time to remind her of the fire's truth. I saved her. But Ivy, empowered, declared, your lies end here. As he left in fury, she knew the battle lines were drawn. Once buried, the past's secrets surged like a river, breaking its banks, propelling her toward a confrontation that would redefine her destiny. In the electric pulse of Chicago's downtown, where the wind carried echoes of ambition and betrayal, Ivy Robinson stood on the precipice of a revelation that would shatter illusions and ignite a firestorm. The revelations from her deepening bond with James Martin had fortified her spirit, unveiling layers of deceit that Alex Thompson had woven around her life. Now armed with the quiet power of her ability and the unyielding support of James's subtle maneuvers, Ivy prepared to step into the arena of public scrutiny. The press conference at Thompson Jewelry's headquarters promised glamour, but for Ivy, it was a battlefield where truth would clash with fabrication. The venue, a lavish hall in the Loop district, adorned with crystal chandeliers and displays of glittering gems, buzzed with influencers, journalists, and industry elites. Sophia, Lee Alex's polished accomplice, commanded the stage like a siren. Her TikTok fame amplified by the designs Ivy had painstakingly created. As guests mingled, sipping champagne amid the flash of cameras, Ivy slipped in discreetly, her heart a drumbeat of resolve. She wore a simple yet elegant black dress, her natural curls cascading like a crown of defiance, a subtle nod to her heritage in a room dominated by privilege. James, ever the shadow guardian, had orchestrated his presence from afar. Through encrypted messages, he assured her, I'm with you every step. His thoughts glimpsed in their last embrace, before her flight lingered like a caress. She'll shine brighter than any jewel here. This is her moment to reclaim what's hers. In New York, he mobilized his Wall Street network, alerting legal allies to monitor the event via live stream, ready to intervene. As the conference commenced, Sophia unveiled the new collection pieces, Ivy recognized as her own, twisted into Sophia's branded narrative. Inspired by urban elegance, Sophia purred, her voice amplified over speakers. The crowd applauded, but Ivy's blood boiled. She waited for the Q&A, and her meticulous plan was to expose the theft without immediate chaos. But spotting her in the audience, Alex approached with a forced smile. As he whispered threats, their hands brushing in a mock greeting. "She dares show up. I'll crush her if she speaks." The touch fueled Ivy's courage. Rising during questions, her voice steady yet resonant. "These designs aren't yours, Sophia. They're mine, stolen and repackaged." Gasps rippled through the room. Sophia faltered, her perfect facade cracking. Alex intervened, microphone in hand. "This is baseless slander from a disgruntled former associate." But Ivy pressed on, detailing timestamps and sketches, her words a velvet blade slicing through lies. The scandal erupted like a viral storm. Phones lit up as attendees live tweeted hashtags like #DesignTheft and #JusticeForIvy, trending on X within minutes. CNN reporters in attendance captured the drama, framing it as a tale of corporate exploitation with racial undertones, a black creator versus a privileged empire. Sophia's inner thoughts are revealed when Ivy accidentally bumps her during the melee. "He's throwing me under the bus. If this blows up, my followers are gone." James's intervention was swift and surgical. His team filed emergency complaints from New York, with platforms citing intellectual property violations. YouTube and TikTok accounts linked to Sophia froze mid-broadcast with error messages citing community guidelines breaches. The live stream cut abruptly, leaving viewers in suspense. Back in Chicago, chaos ensued. Journalists swarmed Ivy, her poise convincing them of her authenticity. "This isn't just about credit," she declared, her eyes gleaming with quiet fire. "It's about reclaiming my voice in an industry that silences too many like me." Alex's desperation peaked. He cornered Ivy backstage, his grip frantic. "The touch, she's ruining everything. But the fire leverage, I'll use Elena's imprisonment to silence her." Ivy pulled away, her response laced with elegance. "Your empire is built on sand, Alex, and the tide is coming in." As security escorted her out, the press hounded Alex, his denials faltering under scrutiny. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Media frenzy amplified the story, with outlets like the New York Times running features on "The Hidden Hands Behind Luxury, a Black Designer's Fight." James, monitoring from his office, felt a surge of pride. His thoughts, "If Ivy could hear, she's a force. This exposure will topple Alex, paving our path." He dispatched a private jet to bring her home, and their reunion at JFK was a tender embrace amid flashing paparazzi. Ivy reflected on the triumph in the quiet of her apartment that night. The scandal exposed the theft and ignited a broader conversation on equity in design. Messages flooded her inbox, support from Black creators, offers from ethical brands. Yet the victory was bittersweet. Alex's threats loomed, hinting at deeper manipulations tied to the Chicago fire. James arrived with takeout from a Harlem staple, his presence a soothing balm. As they dined, his hand in hers. "This is just the start. Together we'll uncover every shadow." The confrontation had transformed Ivy from a whispered talent to a beacon of resilience. As dawn broke over the city, she knew the real battle against the past's chains was far from over, but with James's unwavering light, hope bloomed eternal. Amid the shimmering allure of New York's grandest venues, where creativity danced with ambition under the glow of crystal lights, Ivy Robinson embarked on a journey that would test her skill and soul's essence. The international jewelry competition, hosted at the iconic Javits Center overlooking the Hudson River, was a battlefield of brilliance, a convergence of designers from across the globe, each vying to etch their name into the annals of luxury. For Ivy, this was more than a contest. It was a reclamation, a symphony of gems and gold, where her voice, long silenced by shadows of doubt, would finally resonate with unyielding clarity. The air in the vast exhibition hall hummed with anticipation, the scent of polished metals mingling with the faint perfume of eager spectators. Ivy arrived early, her portfolio clutched like a talisman, her heart a delicate balance of nerves and resolve. The competition's theme, eternal bonds, invited pieces that captured unbreakable connections, love, heritage, resilience. Ivy's entry, a necklace titled Harlem Eclipse, featured interlocking obsidian and diamond links symbolizing the fusion of darkness and light, much like her path through adversity. Each stone was meticulously chosen and sourced from ethical suppliers in South Africa, its facets whispering tales of endurance. As she set up her display amid the sea of competitors, memories of recent trials flickered like distant stars. The weight of expectations pressed upon her, but James Martin's encouragement lingered like a gentle breeze. Though he maintained his understated facade, arriving as a supporter in a simple blazer blending into the crowd, his presence was a quiet anchor. During a preparatory walkthrough, as their fingers brushed over her sketch, her creation was a masterpiece, just like her. She'll eclipse them all in this arena, proving her worth beyond any shadow. The judges, a panel of esteemed figures from Tiffany & Company and Cartier, circulated with discerning eyes. Whispers of bias floated through the air, subtle glances at Ivy, the sole black designer in the finals, questioning if her urban edge fit the elite mold. One silver-haired veteran judge paused at her booth, his critique veiled in politeness. Intriguing, but does it transcend cultural specificity? Ivy smiled, her response laced with elegance. True art knows no boundaries. It unites them. As she handed him a detail card, the touch revealed impressive depth. She's challenging the status quo, refreshing in this stale world. The competition unfolded in phases: preliminary showcases, followed by live presentations. Ivy watched rivals unveil their works, opulent rings from Paris, minimalist cuffs from Tokyo, each a testament to global artistry. When her turn came, the spotlight bathed her in a golden hue, her voice steady as she narrated the piece's story. Harlem Eclipse represents the bonds that endure through trials, much like the resilient spirit of communities forged in fire. The audience, a mix of fashion icons and media moguls, leaned in captivated by her poise. Yet intrigue simmered beneath the surface. Alex Thompson, lurking in the shadows of the event, had entered under his company's banner, peddling designs pilfered from Ivy's archives. His entry, a bracelet dubbed Chicago Legacy, echoed her style but lacked soul. As he presented, his gaze locked on Ivy, a smirk playing on his lips. During a break, he approached under the guise of civility, his hand grazing hers in a feigned handshake. She thinks she's free, but this win will chain her back. Her talent is my weapon. The revelation fueled Ivy's fire. She channeled it into her final pitch, her words weaving a narrative of empowerment that transcended the jewels. The judges deliberated, the hall tense with hushed conversations. Hours stretched like taut wires. But when the announcement came, Ivy's name echoed through the speakers. First place, Ivy Robinson for Harlem Eclipse. Applause thundered, cameras flashed like stars exploding. In that moment, victory tasted like sweet vindication. Her triumph, a beacon against the doubts that had plagued her. James met her eyes from the crowd, with a pride that spoke volumes. As confetti rained, he navigated to her side. His congratulations whispered, "You were extraordinary." Their subtle embrace, hidden from prying eyes. This is her glory, but it's ours too. Her light outshines every gem here. The win propelled Ivy into the spotlight, interviews with Vogue, offers from high-end boutiques. But beneath the glamour, a deeper satisfaction bloomed. She had proven her talent on her terms, defying the systems that sought to diminish her. Post-victory celebrations spilled into the night. Ivy and James dined at a rooftop overlooking the Empire State Building, the city lights a canvas of possibilities. "This necklace isn't just art," she confided, tracing its links. "It's my story, our story, perhaps." James's response, soft and sincere. "And what a beautiful tale it is." As wine glasses clinked his thoughts via a tender handhold, her victory is the first step. Now to unveil the truths that bind us. Yet triumph carried echoes of unrest. Alex's defeat festered. His post-event tirade caught on social media accusations of bias, claims that Ivy's win was affirmative action jewelry. The backlash tested her, but Ivy rose above her grace, convincing skeptics. In quiet reflection, as dawn painted the skyline, she pondered the bond's theme, realizing her connection with James was the most actual eternal link forged in secrecy, but destined for revelation. In the hushed intimacy of twilight's embrace, where New York's skyline softened into a canvas of indigo and gold, Ivy Robinson confronted the veils of her past, each layer peeling away to reveal truths that pulsed with the raw intensity of unspoken love. The jewelry competition's victory had crowned her with laurels, but now, as winter's first chill whispered through the streets, a deeper unveiling awaited one that would test the fragile bloom of her heart against the thorns of history. James Martin, her steadfast companion in this dance of destiny, held secrets that shimmered like hidden facets in a diamond, waiting for the light of confession. The revelation began subtly, in the warm glow of James's penthouse overlooking Central Park, where autumn leaves had given way to bare branches reaching toward the heavens. Ivy had sought solace there, after a whirlwind of post-competition interviews, her mind a whirlpool of acclaim and lingering doubts. Ever the enigmatic host, James prepared a quiet dinner, candlelight flickering over plates of exquisite cuisine from a hidden Harlem chef. As they sat, his gaze held hers with a depth that spoke of volumes unsaid. "Your win was more than talent," he murmured, his voice a caress. "It was destiny manifesting." Their conversation meandered through dreams and aspirations, but tension simmered beneath. Ivy, drawn by an invisible thread, reached for his hand across the table. The touch, that conduit to inner worlds, is unleashed. The time is near. She must know I was her savior that night in Chicago, not Alex. But how to reveal without shattering us? The words, tender yet profound, sent a shiver through her. "James," she whispered, her voice laced with wonder, "tell me about Chicago, the fire. Were you there?" He paused, his blue eyes reflecting the candle's flame like captured stars. "Yes," he admitted softly, his fingers entwining with hers. "I was just a boy visiting my family's subsidiary. The blaze erupted suddenly, chaos everywhere. I saw you, trapped, your cries piercing the smoke. I pulled you out, carried you to safety. But in the aftermath, fear silenced me. Alex claimed the hero's mantle, and I let him buried in my own guilt over the company's role." The confession hung in the air, a delicate thread connecting their souls. Ivy's heart swelled with a mosaic of emotions, gratitude blooming like a rare orchid mingled with the ache of years lost to deception. "All this time," she breathed, her dark eyes glistening, "you watched from afar, building your empire, while I repaid a false debt." James nodded, his touch conveying, "Every success was for you, my silent muse. Your resilience inspired me to fight my demons." The emotional torrent deepened as they moved to the balcony, the city lights a glittering testament to their shared resilience. Ivy leaned against the railing, the wind tousling her curls like gentle fingers. "Why now?" she asked, her voice a velvet inquiry. James stepped closer, his presence a warm shield against the chill. "Because loving you means truth, Ivy. I've hidden too long in a world that divides us by color, by class. That fire forged us. Let it illuminate our path. Tears traced her cheeks, not of sorrow, but of release. Their embrace was a sanctuary, his thoughts, a soothing balm. She's my eternal bond beyond any jewel. This revelation heals us both. Yet conflict brewed. Alex, sensing the shift, unleashed a barrage of manipulations, calls laced with venom threats, to dredge up Elena's imprisonment in media spotlights. During a fraught encounter at a neutral cafe in Midtown, Alex's grip on her arm revealed, "If she chooses him, I'll destroy them both." Expose the Martin Corp cover-up. The climax surged, during a stormy evening rain lashing the windows like unspoken accusations. Ivy confronted James in his study, and documents from her investigations spread like fallen leaves. "Your company amplified my mother's sentence to shield reputations," she accused, her voice trembling with betrayal. James knelt before her, his eyes pleading. "It was my father's era greed over justice. I've spent years atoning funding reforms, seeking pardons. For you, Ivy, I'd rewrite the stars." The vulnerability in his confession, raw and unfiltered, pierced her defenses. As thunder rolled, they clung together, the storm mirroring their inner turmoil. James's whispered vows, "Let me be your true benefactor now, not in shadows, but in light." Ivy, her heart yielding, "Then prove it with actions, not just words." Their fervent and forgiving kiss sealed a pact amid the tempest, love emerging victorious from the conflict's crucible. As dawn broke, painting the horizon in hues of promise, Ivy knew this revelation was a turning point, the emotional apex where past wounds began to heal, paving the way for a future intertwined. Part 7. The death of Elena Robinson and the start of revenge. Personal loss. In the shadowed heart of Chicago, where the city's pulse beat with the rhythm of resilience and regret, Ivy Robinson stood at the precipice of a loss that would redefine her world. The victory at the jewelry competition had crowned her with triumph, and James Martin's confession of his role as her true savior in the Chicago fire had woven their hearts closer like threads in a tapestry of fate. Yet as winter's first snow dusted the streets, a tragedy loomed, its icy fingers threatening to unravel the fragile hope Ivy had nurtured. Her ability to hear thoughts through touch, a gift born from trauma, now guided her through a storm of betrayal where love and vengeance danced a perilous waltz. Ivy's mother, Elena Robinson, languished in a federal penitentiary in Illinois. Her sentence, a lingering scar from the fire that had consumed lives and truths a decade ago. Ivy visited monthly, and each trip was a pilgrimage of love and guilt. The prison, a fortress of gray concrete, stood stark against the snowy horizon, its walls echoing the weight of untold stories. Elena, once vibrant, now bore the weariness of years unjustly confined, her eyes still holding a flicker of maternal warmth. During their latest visit, as Ivy clasped her mother's hands across the cold metal table, Elena's thoughts flowed. "My girl shines like a star now. If only I could be free to see her soar." The unspoken yet piercing words fueled Ivy's resolve to seek justice, not just for herself, but for the woman who had sacrificed everything. Back in New York, Ivy threw herself into her work at Martin Corp, designing a new collection inspired by Elena's resilience rings, with amethyst centers symbolizing hope amid adversity. James, ever her silent champion, supported her vision, his understated presence a balm. During a late-night session in the design studio, their fingers brushed over a gemstone prototype as they pored over sketches under the glow of city lights. His thoughts. "Her strength is my North Star. I'll move mountains to free Elena, to give Ivy peace." The sincerity in his inner voice and public efforts, hiring top attorneys to petition for Elena's case review, deepened Ivy's trust, her heart blooming like a rose in winter. Yet the specter of Alex Thompson loomed, his desperation growing as Thompson Jewelry teetered on the brink of collapse after the press conference scandal. He orchestrated a cruel maneuver, leveraging his influence to secure Elena's temporary release for medical reasons, a calculated act to tighten his grip on Ivy. The news came via a terse call. Elena would be under strict supervision in Chicago for a week. Ivy rushed to meet her at a modest halfway house near Lake Michigan, the wind carrying whispers of unease. As mother and daughter embraced, Elena's thoughts were clouded. Alex arranged this. He's kind, but why does it feel like a leash? The reunion was bittersweet, tainted by Alex's presence. He arrived uninvited, his charm a polished facade. "I pulled strings for your mom, Ivy. You owe me this much," he said, his hand grazing hers. The touch revealed, she'll bend now. Elena's freedom is my trump card. Her gratitude will keep her chained. Horror surged through Ivy, but she masked it, playing along to protect her mother. That night, in a cramped apartment Alex had arranged, tensions boiled. Unaware of his deceit, Elena praised him. "He's been so good to us, Ivy." But when Alex touched Ivy's shoulder to comfort her, his thoughts seethed. She'll never escape. I'll use Elena to keep her designs flowing. The tragedy struck under a moonless sky. During a heated argument, Alex pressing Ivy to abandon Martin Corp and return to his company, Elena intervened, her voice frail yet fierce. "Leave my daughter alone," she cried. In a moment of rage, Alex pushed Elena, a reflex born of frustration. She stumbled, striking her head on a sharp table edge. Time froze as blood pooled Elena's breath, fading like a whisper in the wind. Ivy's screams echoed, her hands clutching her mother's, but no thoughts came, only silence, a void where love once spoke. Paramedics arrived too late. The official report cited an accident, but Ivy's heart knew better. In the chaos, Alex fled, his thoughts unheard, but his guilt palpable. Ivy, shattered, returned to New York, her grief a heavy cloak. James met her at the airport, and his embrace was a sanctuary. As their hands intertwined, his inner voice, "Her pain is mine. I'll tear Alex's world apart for this." His resolve mirrored hers, igniting the first sparks of vengeance. James mobilized his resources with ruthless precision. Leveraging Martin Corp's Wall Street influence, he initiated lawsuits against Thompson Jewelry, alleging intellectual property theft and fraud. Legal teams swarmed, filing injunctions that froze Alex's assets. Fueled by loss, Ivy collaborated with James, and her designs became weapons. She channeled her grief into a new piece, a pendant titled Elena's Light, its sapphire heart, a tribute to her mother's spirit. During a strategy session, as James reviewed her work, their touch, "Her art is her rebellion. I'll ensure Alex pays not just for her, but for Elena." The revenge took shape subtly. James's sister Claire Martin posed as a venture capitalist named Clara Evans, luring Alex with a false promise of investment. In a Chicago meeting, Claire dangled a lifeline, a partnership to revive Thompson Jewelry. Alex, desperate, agreed, unaware of the trap. His thoughts, "If Ivy could hear. This is my comeback. Ivy's loss is my gain." Meanwhile, Ivy uncovered a lead. A retired factory worker, now a recluse in Gary, Indiana, who claimed the fire's cause was hidden. Driven by purpose, she planned to trip James at her side, their shared mission forging a love deeper than words. As snow fell over New York, Ivy stood at her window, the city a canvas of light and shadow. Elena's absence was a wound, but vengeance was a fire. And with James's unwavering devotion, Ivy knew she would burn brightly until justice was served. Word count approximately 3,500 Part 8. Deceptions in Business and Collapse. Economic Revenge. In the glittering crucible of New York's financial district, where power pulsed through glass towers and whispered deals shaped destinies, Ivy Robinson and James Martin orchestrated a symphony of retribution that would dismantle the empire of lies Alex Thompson had built. The loss of Elena Robinson had carved a chasm in Ivy's heart, but from that grief rose a resolve as unyielding as the city's skyline. The dance of revenge was delicate yet fierce, a ballet of strategy and emotion played against Wall Street's relentless ambition. Ivy's ability to hear thoughts through touch remained her secret weapon, a lantern guiding her through the shadows of deceit, while James's love illuminated her path like starlight on a moonless night. Winter tightened its grip on Manhattan, the air sharp with frost and possibility. Ivy, now a celebrated designer at Martin Corp, channeled her pain into her work, her latest collection, Legacy of Light, a tribute to her mother's enduring spirit. Each piece, from earrings with moonstone, drops to bracelets with woven gold, told a story of resilience, their beauty, a defiance of the darkness that had claimed Elena. James, ever her silent partner, amplified her vision, securing partnerships with ethical jewelers across the globe. During a quiet moment in his office, their hands brushed over a sapphire brooch as they reviewed contracts. His thoughts. Her creations are her vengeance, each gem a strike against Alex. I'll ensure he falls for her, for us. The plan to topple Thompson Jewelry unfolded with surgical precision. James, leveraging his Wall Street clout, orchestrated a series of economic maneuvers, shorting Alex's stocks, pressuring suppliers to cut ties, and flooding the market with negative press. X-posts, orchestrated by Martin Corp's media team, went viral, branding Thompson Jewelry as unethical, with hashtags like #JusticeForIvy trending globally. Ivy, meanwhile, dug deeper into the Chicago fire's secrets, her investigation pointing to a retired worker, Mr. Lyle Carter, who had witnessed Alex's childhood recklessness. In a clandestine meeting in Gary, Indiana, as Ivy shook Carter's hand, that boy set the spark, saw him with matches near the fuel tanks. Scared kid, but he let Elena take the blame. The revelation sparked Ivy's soul, but confrontation risked exposing her ability. Instead, she and James turned to deception. Claire Martin, James's sister, continued her ruse as Clara Evans meeting Alex in a sleek Chicago penthouse. Posing as a venture capitalist, Claire offered a lifeline, a multi-million-dollar investment to revive Thompson Jewelry contingent on Alex securing high-quality gemstone suppliers. Desperate, Alex mortgaged his Brooklyn loft and vintage car. His thoughts, if Ivy could hear. This deal's my salvation. Ivy's pain is my leverage. The trap was elegant. Claire's suppliers were Martin Corp fronts, delivering counterfeit gems that passed initial inspections, but would fail under scrutiny. Alex, unaware, poured his remaining capital into the deal, his company teetering on the edge. Ivy, monitoring from New York, felt a pang of satisfaction laced with sorrow. In a quiet moment by the Hudson, as she and James walked hand in hand, his thoughts. This collapse is for Elena, for Ivy's future. I'd burn empires to see her smile again. Her response, a soft squeeze of his hand, spoke of a love that thrived amid vengeance. The collapse came swiftly. Alex unveiled his revived line at a trade show in Miami, which was only for experts to expose the fakes. Media outlets tipped off by James's team descended like vultures. CNN ran a segment, Thompson Jewelry's Fall, Fraud, or Folly. Alex's empire crumbled, and his assets were seized in lawsuits filed by Martin Corp for market manipulation. Social media amplified the scandal, with influencers like Sophia Lee distancing themselves. Her thoughts, during a chance encounter with Ivy. He used me too. I'm out before this sinks me further. Ivy and James celebrated privately in a Soho loft, their dinner a quiet rebellion against the chaos. As they clinked glasses, the city's lights twinkling below, Ivy confessed, "This feels right, but it's heavy. I'm avenging Mom. But what's left of me, James?" His hand finding hers. "She's my heart's compass. This victory is hers, but our love is the actual prize." His words aloud, "You're not just surviving Ivy, you're rewriting the stars." Under a velvet sky, their kiss was a vow to face the final reckoning together. As Alex's world imploded, he made a desperate move, a public plea on YouTube, claiming victimhood. But Ivy, fortified by love and truth, prepared for the ultimate confrontation, her heart alight with the promise of justice and the eternal bond with James that no deception could shatter. In the radiant embrace of New York's spring, where cherry blossoms bloomed like promises kept, Ivy Robinson stood on the cusp of a reckoning that would mend the fractures of her past. The collapse of Alex Thompson's empire had been a symphony of calculated vengeance orchestrated with James Martin's unwavering support. But now the stage shifted to the hallowed halls of justice. With its pulse of ambition and redemption, the city became a canvas for Ivy's final stand, a testament to her resilience as a Black woman who had risen from the ashes of betrayal to claim her truth. Her ability to hear thoughts through touch, once a haunting gift, now flickered like a fading star, its purpose nearly fulfilled as the legal system took center stage. The federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan loomed like a sentinel of truth, its marble facade reflecting the weight of countless stories. Ivy, dressed in a tailored suit that echoed her Harlem roots with subtle beadwork, entered with a quiet grace, her heart a tapestry of grief and determination. James walked beside her, his presence a steady beacon, his understated attire masking the power of a Wall Street titan. Their hands brushed as they navigated the crowded halls, his thoughts a gentle whisper. "She's a warrior, my eternal light. Today, justice will honor her mother's memory and set her free." The trial against Alex Thompson was a media spectacle, cameras flashing outside as reporters from the New York Times and CNN framed it as a saga of corporate greed and personal betrayal. Alex faced charges of intellectual property theft, fraud, and manslaughter in connection with Elena Robinson's death. Sophia Lee, his former accomplice, had turned state's witness, her testimony a desperate bid for leniency. In a sterile interrogation room, as Ivy met Sophia to review evidence, their hands grazed over legal documents. "I was a pawn in Alex's game. If I'd known the cost, I'd have walked away." The confession, raw and unfiltered, softened Ivy's judgment, but not her resolve. Inside the courtroom, the air crackled with tension. Alex, once a charismatic entrepreneur, now appeared haggard, his eyes darting like a trapped animal. The prosecution, bolstered by James's legal team, presented a damning case: emails proving Alex's theft of Ivy's designs, financial records of his fraudulent deals, and most crucially, a video confession from his YouTube livestream where he admitted to starting the Chicago fire. The defense scrambled, painting Alex as a victim of circumstance, but Ivy's testimony was a blade of clarity. "He used my mother's imprisonment to exploit me," she declared, her voice steady, eyes locking with the jury. "He stole my work, my dreams, and ultimately her life." The jury deliberated for mere hours, the weight of evidence overwhelming. The courtroom exhaled in unison when the verdict came guilty on all counts. Alex was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison, his assets liquidated to compensate victims, including Ivy. Sophia received a reduced sentence for cooperation, her career in tatters. As Alex was led away, his gaze met Ivy's, a flicker of regret in his eyes, but no touch revealed his thoughts. The ability had faded, as if sensing its task complete, leaving Ivy to rely on her heart's compass. Outside, the spring sun bathed Foley Square in golden light. James pulled Ivy close, their embrace a sanctuary amid the chaos. "You did it," he whispered, his voice a velvet promise. "You honored Elena." Ivy's tears, warm against his shoulder, were not of sorrow, but of release. This victory is hers, but our love is the true triumph. The media frenzy continued, with X posts celebrating Ivy as a symbol of justice for marginalized creators, her story resonating with Black women nationwide. Yet a shadow lingered: James's role in the original cover-up of the Chicago fire. That evening, Ivy confronted the final conflict in a quiet Brooklyn cafe overlooking the river. "Your family's company buried the truth, James," she said, her voice soft but unyielding. "It cost my mother years of her life." James, his eyes pooling with remorse, took her hand. "I've carried this guilt since I was a boy. Let me atone, not just with words, but with a lifetime of devotion." Aloud, he vowed, "I've reopened the investigation with the FBI funding it fully. I'll make it happen if there's any chance to clear Elena's name posthumously." His sincerity, a melody of redemption, convinced Ivy to forgive, not forget, but move forward. Their romance deepened under the weight of resolution. A moonlit walk through Dumbo, with the Manhattan skyline glittering like a lover's promise, sealed their bond. Ever the romantic, James gifted Ivy a custom pendant, a miniature of her Harlem eclipse, engraved with "For Elena." As he fastened it around her neck, his touch, now silent of thoughts, spoke through action. "She's my forever. This is our new beginning. Ivy," her heart alight, whispered, "we're stronger than the past." The trial's aftermath saw Ivy rise as a beacon in the design world. Martin Corp launched a foundation in Elena's name, supporting Black artists, and its first grant funded Ivy's mentorship program. As spring bloomed, Ivy stood taller, her love for James, a flame that burned through societal divides, their story a testament to justice and unbreakable bonds. In the tender embrace of a New York summer, where the city's heartbeats sang of renewal and possibility, Ivy Robinson and James Martin wove the final threads of their love story, a tapestry radiant with resilience and redemption. The trials of justice had cleansed the stains of the past, and with Alex Thompson's incarceration and Sophia Lee's fall, the shadows that once loomed had dissipated like morning mist. Ivy, now a celebrated designer and symbol of triumph, stood ready to embrace a future where her heritage and heart would shine as one. With its kaleidoscope of dreams, the city was their canvas and love their masterpiece. The summer sun bathed Harlem in golden warmth, its streets alive with the rhythm of jazz and children's laughter. Ivy's new venture, Eclipse Designs, had taken root in a chic studio on 125th Street, its walls adorned with sketches that told stories of Black excellence and universal love. The studio's centerpiece was a mural of Elena Robinson, her image surrounded by gemstones, a tribute to the woman whose sacrifice had fueled Ivy's ascent. Since her partner James had invested quietly, his humble facade was now a playful secret between them. During a ribbon-cutting ceremony, their hands met over the ceremonial scissors. "Her light transforms this city. I'm hers always in every way." Though her ability had vanished, Ivy felt his love in every glance, a silent symphony of devotion. Their romance flourished in stolen moments. A picnic in Central Park, under the shade of ancient oaks, became a canvas for dreams. Ivy shared her vision in a flowing sundress that danced with the breeze. "I want Eclipse to empower creators who've been overlooked like I was." James replied, his eyes reflecting the sky. "And I'll be your silent partner, building that legacy with you." Their laughter mingled with the park's melodies, his touch a vow. Her dreams are mine. Together, we'll redefine what's possible. The wedding celebrated their union held at a historic brownstone in Brooklyn, its garden blooming with roses and hope. Ivy radiant in a gown of her own design, ivory silk with obsidian accents, walked toward James, who stood waiting in a tailored suit, his blonde hair catching the sunlight. Friends, family, and industry allies gathered their cheers, a chorus of unity. James's words were poetry as they exchanged vows. Ivy, you're my eclipse darkening my doubts and illuminating my soul. Ivy, her voice a melody. James, you're my light, guiding me through every storm. Under a canopy of stars, their kiss sealed a love transcending race, class, and history. The legacy of their union extended beyond the personal. Under James's leadership, Martin Corp launched the Elena Robinson Foundation, funding scholarships for Black designers and advocating for criminal justice reform. Ivy's mentorship program grew nurturing talents from marginalized communities, and her workshops became a beacon of hope. A feature in Essence magazine dubbed her the Eclipse of Design, celebrating her journey from Harlem's shadows to global acclaim. Yet the true legacy for Ivy was love, a bond forged in fire now eternal. One evening, as they stood on their rooftop overlooking the city, James surprised Ivy with a final, humble gesture. Dressed in jeans, he knelt presenting a ring he'd crafted, a simple band with a single diamond echoing her first design. Ivy, I'm no billionaire tonight, just a man who loves you. Will you keep me forever? Her laughter bright, as the skyline was her answer, their embrace, a promise of forever. The city, their witness, glowed with the light of a love that had conquered all. As summer faded, Ivy and James built a life where every gem told a story, every moment a celebration. Their love, a beacon across divides, proved that light could prevail even in a world of shadows. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Dear readers, if Ivy and James's journey touched your heart, please like, share, and comment to share your emotions. Your support fuels stories of love and justice. Subscribe to our channel for more tales of triumph and romance, and join us in celebrating the unbreakable bonds that light up our world.